Good morning, dear students. Let's begin our biology class. Myself, Hemant Vyas, and I will be your biology teacher for this academic session. Let's start with our chapter number 1, crop production and management, which is very important according to board examination point of view. Now, let's read about this chapter. Since it is very important for human beings to have food, now why do we need to have food? For the following reasons. We need energy which is provided from food. This energy is utilized by animals for various activities like digestion, respiration and excretion, and in order to feed such a large population there is need to produce food on a large scale. It is a very important 3-mark question which is asked several times in the board examination, that why do we need food. Now, what is the origin of agriculture? How agriculture came into being, and what do you mean by agriculture? We will all read it one by one. Now let's read the origin of agriculture. Till 10,000 BCE, people were nomadic, i.e., they wandered from one place to another. They were wandering in groups from one place to another for food and shelter. They also hunted animals for food. Later, they started cultivating some plants like wheat and rice. This cultivation was given a name called agriculture, and hence from here the agriculture word originated in world. Now, what is the definition of a crop and what is the definition of agriculture? What do you mean by a field? We will all read now. Some plants which grow on a large scale like wheat and rice are called crops, which are cultivated to obtain food. Now, the plants which we grow on a large scale or a farmer grow on a large scale from where we can obtain the food is called crop. The production of crop on large scale is called agriculture, and the land on which crop is grown is called field. And agriculture is a term which is given to the production of such crops, and on the land or the area where we grow these crops, that land is called field or farm. Now, on the basis of the crops which are produced, we have two types of crops according to the seasons classified. Those are Kharif and Rabi crops. We will differentiate them, and it is very important 3-mark question which is asked several times in the board examinations. Now let's read about Kharif and Rabi crop. Now in Kharif crop first, the crops which are grown in rainy season are called Kharif crops, this we all know. Whereas Rabi crops are those crops which are grown in winter season. And second point for Kharif crop is the rainy season in India is generally from June to September, in which these crops are grown, which is a time period for them to grow. And the Rabi crop have the winter season which lasts from October to March in India. And the examples of Kharif crop include paddy, maize, soyabean, groundnut and cotton. Whereas for Rabi crop the examples are wheat, gram, pea, mustard and linseed. In the diagrams given, you can see the first one is the Kharif crop and the second one is the Rabi crop. This is important 3-mark question which you need to write yourself in your copy. Under the heading, give the major differences between Kharif and Rabi crops. Now, what do you mean by agricultural practices and what are its types, and why do we read over here? So students, for producing a crop on a large scale, we need to take some steps for its effective production so that we can get maximum profit out of those crops produced and there is no loss or harm. That's why we read agricultural practices, and this term for which we get effective production, some steps that are taken is only called agricultural practices. Now we will read its types one by one in our later classes. Let's discuss them together. First is preparation of soil. Second, sowing. Third, adding manure and fertilizer. Fourth, irrigation. Fifth, protecting from weeds. Sixth, harvesting. And seventh, storage. Sometimes in the board examinations, directly the question is asked that what do you mean by agricultural practices and what are its types, instead of asking in detail from one of any of them. So this is all for today's class, students. Thank you and have a nice day.